In today's video, we will see how to create this Express Entry profile. Once you type Express Entry profile, this is the official website where you come and click here. And once you click here, how to check eligibility, I have made a separate video. You can find that in the link. And then once you have found your eligibility, you will sign into your secure account by clicking here. Once we come down, if you don't have, you'll have to register for an account. Again, I made a separate video on how to register, and everything I have covered in detail there. Once you have registered and you have your GC key and username password, you click here, you enter the GC key detail, that is you sign in, and once you sign in and then continue, you will get a passcode sent to your email ID. And once the one-time passcode entry is made and you continue, you get this message, authentication success. Once this is done, continue, then you come and check the terms of condition and you say I accept. You will get identity validation which you had set up through the GC key. You enter that detail and then continue. So this is the dashboard where you come down and you see here, because I had gone through the eligibility check process, this is how the result was shown. If you don't know what this is, I have made a separate video on how this was done. Once you do that, then you come to this. Here it shows the Express Entry profile. So at some point you feel that your Express Entry profile, you want to start all over again. You have option to edit or even to delete the profile. You can do that and then start all over again. So don't worry, in case you have to delete, you can again come and create using the same credential, same login, same email ID. So that is one update I wanted to give to you. Let me cancel this. Come down, click on the continue profile. Here, tell us your name exactly as shown in your passport, travel document or national identification document. So as per your passport, make sure the last name is written, then the first name, your gender from this drop down, and then your date of birth. Once this is done, you click next, you select your marital status and then click next. Select person accompanying you, yes or no. I have selected yes and then click next. And then you enter the detail. In case you have selected spouse, then you enter the spouse name as it is in spouse passport. So last name or family name, first name, and then the gender of the spouse or common law partner, then the date of birth. Once these details are entered, make no mistake here, click next. This is where you will start completing your online application by choosing the section below. So you see here your personal detail you will fill, your contact detail, study and language, then your application detail, representative. Since in this video I am not going with any representative, I'll show you how to do that part. If you are doing your application without any representative, then your work history, and then spouse, personal detail, study and languages, work history. Start filling this form. So once we click here, start form, this is the file details section. So the name comes automatically what was filled earlier. And then once we come down here, you see, click next. Personal detail, again, this detail is already captured. Country of birth gets selected. Then you choose the city of birth. And once this is made, you click next. Marital status automatically shows up like this. Click next. Here you will enter passport or national ID detail. So you will select if you have one, you need to have one when you're filling this Express Entry profile. So my option is yes. And then document type, I'm showing as passport, and then document number as it is exactly shown in the document, the country, territory of issue, and then issue date as it is mentioned in the passport, and the expiry date. Make sure not to make any mistake, and the passport what you're giving has a good validity. This entire process is going to take, say, at least 1 year after you get the invitation to apply. Make sure you have a passport whose expiry date is not coming in next 1 to 2 years. Once details are entered, save and add, and then you will see the ID detail like this. Then come down and click next. Then the question is, have you applied to Immigration, Refugee and Citizenship Canada before? So you have to select your answer accordingly. In my case, I selected no. And then country of citizenship. If you have multiple countries, then you can insert the row from here. Once you make that entry, country of residence, the country where you are currently. That once you make that selection, you click next. This is the family section. So here in this family section, how many family members do you have? This includes you, a spouse or partner, dependent children, and their dependent children. So you will make the selection. Remember this part, what the family is. So many people make mistake here. What includes as family, that is clearly defined here. How much money in Canadian dollar you will be bringing? Remember, we had seen this proof of fund table, and here the minimum required fund in Canadian dollar is given, and for a family of 2 members, I need to show minimum of this amount, and I'll be giving detail what I will be showing as proof. So once the amount is entered, and this is again in Canadian dollar, click next. In this part, do you have any relative who is a citizen or permanent resident of Canada? In my case, I did not have anyone. So the response was no. If you have, then you make the selection and then save and exit. So you see here, the personal details section is now complete, and you can again go and update if you want. Just by going and clicking here, you will be able to go and modify. So let's save and exit. We come to the contact details section, start form. Here you choose the language of correspondence. So there are only 2 options. Select English here. Then next, you enter your email address. This will be used for all the correspondence and communication, and that's where everything will be working, and this is required. So you enter that detail, and once this entry is made, you save and exit. So as you keep updating, you will keep seeing the status like this: complete. Then we come down, study and languages, start form. Here you will enter the education history. Have you finished high school or any higher education, including university, college or vocational training? In my case, it is yes. Field of study, you select from this list. Make sure you go through this carefully and select the correct option. And once that is made, you select from what year and if this is your current study. So as you keep making the entry, you will select and complete this detail. So from to and how many academic year, whether it was full-time, part-time study, standing at end of the study period, and then country of study. Look at your certificate and make sure you're entering all details correctly. And once you have filled in this detail, city, town of study, name of the school, institution, level of education, and then where you awarded a Canadian degree diploma certificate for this period of study. If you have studied in Canada and all this detail, what you entered is for Canada, then your response will be yes. In my case, it is no. Then you will be asked if you got your education credential assessment done in last 5 years. If your response is yes, then who issued the assessment? So this is where, if you have not studied in Canada, you have to get your education credential assessment and you will enter the detail here. So when I got my credential done, it was through World Education Service, and you see all this drop down. So make the selection, and when the ECA was issued, that year, month and date, and the certificate number has to be entered. You exactly transfer the detail what is shown in your education credential assessment, and that will have your ECA reported issue date and the certificate number. So once you correctly enter all of these and what is the equivalent education in that result, that you make selection from this drop down. Once this is done, you come down and you do save and add, and then the next is your official languages. Once you click this, can you communicate in English or French? You have to select English, French, both, neither. So in my case, it was only English. So make that selection. Have you taken an approved language test to assess English skill? The response is yes, and I had taken IELTS. And then language test version, IELTS general training. Come down, and here the language test result date automatically comes entered. Then date of test result, that again you look at the document and enter the correct details. So once that detail is entered, language test result form or certificate number, make sure you're entering the details correctly. Once the detail is correctly entered, then you come down and save and exit. Next is the application detail, start form. Here, once we come down here, which province or territory would you consider living in? So when I was doing this form, as I said, I did not know which province or territory I wanted to go. Here, I made selection all, and my thought process was that in case for some reason my express entry point is not very competitive, maybe under provincial nominee program, if I am meeting any of the criteria, the province might select me into their PNP program. So I made that selection. In case you know which province to go, you can make that selection. And you see here, when you make this all province and territory, British Columbia is asking you to authorize. So is Ontario. And once you make the selection, I'm selecting yes and I'm saying next. Here, have you received a nomination certificate from province or territory? In my case, it was no. So once this was done, save and exit. So this part is also done. Then representative start. I was not using any representative. Who is a representative? An applicant can appoint a person to do business with Immigration, Refugee and Citizenship Canada on their behalf. Do you want to allow IRCC to give this information to the appointed person, such as an immigration consultant, lawyer, friend, family member, to contact IRCC on their behalf? So if you have anyone, you would select accordingly that you have a representative or a designated individual or both or no. In my case, it was no. And then save and exit. Come down, work history, start form. Here, coming to the occupation part, this is a 5-digit NOC. Again, I'm not going much in detail. So I knew my NOC. And you can search by coming here. And in my case, I selected what was relevant for me. And when that selection was made, come down. And here you enter the year and month when you became first qualified to practice this occupation. So whichever occupation you have selected, and if this is the primary occupation. So once this is done, you click next. And here, if you have a qualification from Canadian province or territory, you make a selection as yes. In my case, it is no. Click next. Do you have a job offer in Canada? So the offer detail is given here. If it is yes in your case, you make that selection. In my case, it was no. Next. Then comes the work history section. And here, since I have a work history, I'm selecting yes. And then from what year, that detail gets done. And if this is your current job, you make a selection. So when the entry is made, if it is your current job, you make that selection. If not, from when to when, you keep entering your work experience one after the other. How many hours per week? So here, for the 1 year work experience, when you say you have 1 year experience, how it is calculated, that part is given. That, for example, you are on a full-time one job. 30 hours per week for 12 months is equal to 1 year full-time job. So even if you're working 60 hours a week per week, only 30-hour week will be considered. So it is not like if you're working 60 hours, you can multiply that by 2. So whatever time you're spending, maximum what will be taken is this 30 hours per week for 12 months. That's when you will complete 1 year. That is 1560 hours. If it is part-time, then the calculation is given here. And if it is full-time work at more than one job, then again 30 hours per week for 12 months is what is considered. As I said, we don't count any hour of work above 30 hours per week. So I hope this gives you clarity. Here you will start entering your detail. So since I'm selecting this is my current job, that selection will go. And then number of hours per week, I'm entering 40 here. And then the NOC, job title, what your job title was, and employer and company name. Let's come down. If you were self-employed, you will check this, which country, city, town. So once all the entry is made and you save and add, you will see detail like this. So if you have to keep adding your job detail, you will keep coming here and filling the detail and you will keep adding. So once you add, you will see all the job what you have shown. Once this is done, you click next. Following questions are about your education and work experience recognition in Canada. IRCC will use this information for research, performance measure and evaluation purpose, not to take decision about your profile. So your answer is important. So do you agree with the answer to these questions? Yes, I'm saying yes. And then, have you looked for job in Canada in your primary occupation? What best describes the last action you took? So from this drop down, based on what your response is, you will select this. So when I was looking into, I selected yes, I have done some research to find job in Canada. So once this selection was made, have you checked to see if your education and work experience in your primary occupation would be accepted in Canada? So based on my research, I knew that yes. And then with whom did you check? Mark all that applies. So from this list, if you have selected yes, then you will have to check whatever your options are. So I selected, I did not have any friend. So I selected my option. And then some jobs are regulated in Canada and would need license and certification, practice these jobs. So I knew that mine is not the one which requires a regulation. So my response here was no. In case if it is yes, then you'll have to answer this part. So I'm giving no. If you don't know, you make that selection as don't know and then save and exit. So at any point, if you want to exit, you can do that just by coming down, save and exit, and you can come back again and start from where you want. Let me show this to you. Save and exit. Are you sure you want to exit? Continue. And then I accept. You can exit now and log out by clicking continue. So this is how you safely log out. I've logged in again and you can see here all this section is now complete. Now we will move on to the spouse section where we enter the personal details, study and language, work history. Start form, come down, next, country of birth, enter the detail and then enter the city or town of birth, click next. If you're single, you will not come to the spouse section. In that case, you're almost done. And once we are done with the spouse section, we will see what all will continue. So here for the immigration history and citizenship, is the spouse a Canadian citizen or permanent resident? The response here in my case is no. If it is yes, you'll have to select that. And then next, any relative who is a citizen or permanent resident of Canada. For the spouse, you have to choose your response. The response here in my case was no. Save and exit. Then come to study and language, start form, come down. Has the spouse finished high school or any education, higher education? Response is yes in my case. Then select the field of study, since what year. If this is the current study, complete / full academic year, how many year it is. So that detail will get entered. Whether it was full-time or part-time, that detail will get entered. So let me fill the other part also. So detail have been filled. Come down, full-time, standing at end of study period, degree awarded. So you'll have to select the correct option here, country of study, city, town, name of the school institution, and then level of education, what that was. So that gets selected. And was the spouse awarded a Canadian degree, diploma or certificate? Response is no. Then again, the education credential assessment within the past 5 years for degree, diploma or certificate. So that was got done. Yes. And the organization was chosen from the list. Again, my wife also had gone through the World Education Service. Depending on what it is in your case, you will have to select that. And then the reported issue date and the number. Once the detail is entered, come down. We'll fill the level of education that was got in ECA and then save and add. Now you see the detail has come here. Click next. In this official language assessment, again, depending on the language test, you will choose your response yes or no. So here my response is yes. And the language what was taken is IELTS. So if it is any other, you will choose from this list. Then date of language test, date of test result, look for the certificate and make sure you're not making any mistake, including the certificate number, and then the detail of speaking, reading, listening, writing. Once this is entered, if you have any other test given, in this case French, you will choose your response. If not, keep it at no and then save and exit. Then come down, work history, start here and fill the detail for the work history. If there is any work history, you will make an entry. If it is yes, you will say yes. If it is no, you will say no. So once that is done, save and exit. Now, once you have done this, you see everything is complete now. You still have option to go and edit and update the form here. And if you are satisfied that you have done everything up to date, then continue. This is the declaration section where you will also put your electronic signature. So once you come down here, you have this option, I agree. You have to select this. This is the consent for information for research and evaluation purpose. You can agree or not agree depending on what you want. And then your signature. Here, remember, given name first and the last name next. So don't make mistake here. People make mistake here. Come down. Then you will respond to your favorite question, security question, and then you will sign. Once you sign, you come to this page and here you will transmit. Once you transmit, congratulations. You have successfully submitted your application. And once you exit this questionnaire, you can go through these steps. You see that the Express Entry profile has been created and you can come and withdraw this profile if you want anytime, or while it is there, you can go and check the application status. If there is any update, you would see that update here on this dashboard. Once you click on this check full application status, you will come to this page. You will be able to see everything, including what the overall score you got, Right now, since in this part of the video, I have shown Canadian experience class towards the end, the score looks higher. In your case, the score might look lower depending on what your selections are. So whatever score you get, compare that with the CRS trend, and you would know where you stand in the competition. Again, how to check the CRS trend and how to know where you stand, all those details I have given in a separate video. If you're interested, you can go and look for that information. So friends, you saw how simple it is to create the express entry profile. Right input is equal to right output, and hopefully you found this video useful. Please like, share and subscribe. There are many other videos which will help you in different stages of your life in Canada. Thanks for watching.